Alright, Shalom Akim. I like to say Kal Halayim, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Right, double honors the apostles and elders of Great Millstone at Rubel. Peace and salutation to the Akim around the world that push this truth to the four corners of the earth. Alright, do a small touch. I see Apostle Taha was talking about it, about the law existing, from the beginning. So I said I'll go through a few precepts to talk about it. Alright, I'll start with okay, there are some people who believe that the law that only exists in the time of Moses, when Moses had come and actually, when the Lord had given the inspiration to write it down on the stones and the books and so forth, like Leviticus and Numbers, and they believe that the law didn't exist before that. But it have the Bible show you that the law existed from even from the beginning. All right, I'll start with a scripture. It said in First John 2, right? First John 2 verse 7, right? It said, Brethren, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old commandment which he had from the beginning. Right? It said the old commandment is the word, it said which ye have heard from the beginning. That way you'll see that when Adania means my Lord, right? When Adania was quoting precepts of people, he was quoting from what? The Old Testament. You understand? Because all these things were since before. I'll go through some examples, right? I'll start from Genesis. So some people, it's a stumbling block to some people when we talk about the sacrifices of Cain and Abel giving a better sacrifice. But the thing about it is, they knew even back then which sacrifices to give. Even though it wasn't written down, these things were taught. It would be like just like with our parents today. When a child growing up, you would teach them the customs of your people, the rights from wrongs. You understand? You'll teach them you're supposed to do this unto the law, you're not supposed to do that, and so forth. That the same way it was before it was written down. That way they could have performed these things so accurately according to the law, even though it wasn't written down at that time. Right? I'll go to some examples. It says Genesis 4 verse 1, right? I'll start from 1. It says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord, right? You see, and she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground, right? You see, and in process of time, it it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground and offered unto the Lord, and Abel he also brought instead of firstlings of his flock, right? The firstlings of his flock, it say of the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. It say verse 5, right? It say, I'll go to the precept first. Right? It say this is Leviticus 3, right? Leviticus 3, I'll start from 1. It say, and if his obligation be sacrifice of peace offering, if he offer it of an herd, right? It say whereof it be a male or female, it say he shall offer it without blemish before the Lord. And they're talking about what? Of your herd, your cattle. You understand? It say, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering and kill it at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and Aaron's sons, the priests, shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire unto the Lord, It said the fat that covereth the inward, right? And all the fat that is upon the inwards. You see the talk about the same thing in Genesis just now. Offering what? of your herd and the fat. And they knew about these things. That is why the Mosai told them what he told them. I'll read it over. It say, verse 4, it say, Genesis 4, verse 4, it say, and Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, which is supposed to do with a firstling of a flock, and the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and his offering he had no respect. Why? Because Cain knew what he was supposed to do. Cain was in the same spirit as these jakes out here today. You understand? They just want to please the Lord how they feel like pleasing him. You understand? Like he wanna offer up fruits and tell the Lord, well, you should take that. You understand? That I feel like giving you. No, it don't work that way. These ordinances was teach even back then, and the Lord, and they knew how they were supposed to do it. And Cain knew what he was supposed to do, and he did his own thing. That's why the Lord had no respect unto his offering. Right? They say, but unto Cain he had, unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And that is just being wicked. If your parents said to do something and you want to do your own thing, when they get upset with you, be more vexed than them? No, you're wrong. You should have listened. I'll read verse 6. It say, and the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? It say, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shall not, it say, shall not, if thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? You understand? Just like the ordinance he make with Israel. Curses and blessings. If you do good, you'll be blessed. If you do bad, you are to suffer the curses. It's the same thing. If you do the right thing, would thou not be accepted? But he didn't. He wanted to do his own thing. But you know, they're just showing you one example of how they actually used to follow the ordinances accurately back then. And these things wasn't just by guess. It wasn't like they just happened to do it accurately back then, and then any time of Moses, it just happened to do it accurately because they had it written. It was taught to them before. You understand? It was taught to them from even before. They knew how to sacrifice unto the Lord. They knew the customs of our people. It just in the time of Moses, it was actually written down. Right? Again, next example. It's today Genesis 38. I'll start from 1. Right? It said, and it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite whose name was Hera, right? And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, you see, whose name was Shua, and he took her and went in unto her, and she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name right? So the name of the first son was what? He said, and she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his son Oman. So the second son. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him, right? And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. Now a lot of people know the story about Judah and the when he went into the city and he thought the woman was a harlot and so forth. Right? Right. I reach verse 6, verse 7, alright. It say, right, so the wife he took for his firstborn was what? Tamar. Verse 7 it say, and Judah's firstborn was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. Right? So they was already married, but he was wicked. So what happened? The Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Oman, now Oman is what? The second born. Judah said unto Oman, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. Right? So let me see why it is he was telling the second son to go unto his elder son's widow. You understand? To raise up seed or to give her a child. Alright, they say there's Deuteronomy, and this happened before the time of Deuteronomy, because we know Judah was way before the time of Moses when this was actually written down. But let me see what it say, right? Deuteronomy 25, I'll start from 5, right? It say, if brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, which is what happened to right? He was married and he died, he didn't have any child, but all the brothers was dwelling together. It said, a wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. It say, her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife. This that is so she was supposed to be passed on to the next brother. That is actually how it was done in Israel. In this society, they will watch that as that is something evil. How you could do something like that? But that was actually an ordinance that the Lord gave. That is how it was originally supposed to be done, right? It say, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her, which is similar to where you see where does Judah tell him? He say what? Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. So they followed that tradition even back then. Even though it wasn't written, they knew it and they used to follow it, right? Now let me go forward. In Deuteronomy writes, I'll read verse 6. Deuteronomy 25 verse 6, it say, and it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. It say, and if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate, Salakia. Let his brother's wife go up to the gate and unto the elders, and say, my brother's wife, sorry, and say, my husband's brother refused to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother, which was something he was obligated to do. It wasn't like, I ain't feeling like doing that. You understand? It was something. It was like an obligation, and if you didn't do it, it was a shameful thing. Nowadays, if somebody do something like that, if a woman had this brother, and he dies, so she go to the next brother, she evil. She's the worst thing in the world. But that is originally how the Lord used to do things. If a person say that evil, then they are evil, because nobody's a judge above the Lord. Right? Verse 7 is say, and if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up. Wait, Slacky, I'll read verse 7 already. Right. Perform the duty of my husband's brother. Right. Verse 8, Salakia. It said, then the elders of his city shall call him and speak unto him, and if he stand to it, meaning if he, like your brother probably have a wife and you just don't want nothing to do with she, that kind of way. Some women would be like, no. Right? He stand to it and say, I like not to take her. No. It say, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's household, his brother's house, right? And his name shall be called in Israel the house of him that had his shoe loosed. So this is actually a tradition of Israel, and they used to follow this tradition even before the time of Moses, as we read when died, he told his Onan. Read it over. I read over verse 8. It say, and Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. You understand? Like he didn't want to fulfill that. He didn't want to bring up no seed in his brother name. He didn't want that. And it came to pass when he went in unto his brother's wife that he spilled it on the ground. It said less that he should give seed to his brother. So he didn't want to make seed unto his brother's name. You understand? But what he did was still evil in the sight of the Lord, because the Lord lay out the ordinance on how it was supposed to be played off. It's either you was dung faith and you would do it, or you was not dung faith and you would have your shoes loosed. You understand? And suffer the little shameful look. But he actually went and slept with her and pull out. You understand? And I have people that has used this scripture and say, because of that, the Lord kill him because he pull out and you're not supposed to pull out. And the reason why the Lord kill him is because he didn't fulfill the law. You understand? You went and sleep with your brother's wife, knowing very well you were supposed to impregnate her and pull out. That is wickedness. That is why, as I say in the next verse 10, it say, and the thing which he did displeased the Lord. It say, wherefore he slew him also. And that is why the Lord slay him, because he didn't fulfill the law. If you didn't want to, you could have just said no. You sleep with the woman, you understand? Come like you're treating your brother's wife like a harlot. You sleep with she and you pull out, knowing you were supposed to give her seed. You could have just said no. And all this is show you how the law is something important, because people just go about interpreting these things their own way, not knowing that it's actually written in the scriptures how these things supposed to be done. But the point I'm making is that even before it was written, these things were done according to these ordinances. All these things showing that the law was there from since what? From since the beginning. Right? I'll go down and say, then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, it say, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah, right, my son be grown. Now Shelah is what his last son. It say, for he said, lest peradventure he die also, and as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. So she went back to she parents, and she was staying there until the youngest son became old enough. Because now that the second son died, according to what we just read, he had to be passed on to the next son. But in Judah's eyes, he was like, this woman killing my sons. If I give she to my last son, she might kill he too. You understand? Like in that how he was watching it, he was paranoid. So he didn't want inwardly he didn't want to give her unto his last son, thinking that he might have died also. Right? Verse 12 it say and in process of time the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. Right? Judah's wife died, and Judah was comforted and went up unto his sheep hairs to Timnah. It say he and his friend Hirah, the Adulamite, right? It say and it was told Tamar, which is the wife, the two sons that die, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnah to shear his sheep. And she put her widows her widow's garments off from her and covered her with a veil and wrapped herself and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnah, for she saw that Shelah was grown. So Shelah was already at age where he could have been married, and she was not given unto him to wife. So she said to herself, he ain't going to give me the last son. You understand? So she take matters into she own hands. But really and truly, that was something that was ordained to happen, right? Because Judah in his mind, he didn't want to give his son to her. Right? It say verse 15, it say when Judah saw her, because she was sitting in that city, but she face was covered up so he couldn't recognize her, right? When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot. It say because she had covered her face, and he turned unto her by the way and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law, because she was already promised to the younger son, right? And she said, What wilt thou give me that thou mayest come in unto me? I'd say that is the whole slogan. Even from the beginning, hoes used to use that title. Hey, you was something from me, what you could give me. You understand? The same thing she say. But even back in the ancient times, that is how, that was the hoes mindset. Right? They say, What wilt thou give me that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet and thy bracelets and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. Right? So she conceived by him. Judah had to be real out of your head too, because to give up all the important stuff just for a little half an hour. Let me continue. I'll jump to verse 24, right? The point is from verse 24 go down. Right? To see verse 24. This is after some time passed, right? It says, and it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, had played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And she was in child by whoredom. Why? Because she was promised unto one man, and she was making child for another man. Now, if the law didn't exist before the time of Moses, how was that considered whoredom? How did they know that that was whoredom? Right? So this is what Deuteronomy 22. Deuteronomy 22, I'll start from verse 23. It says, If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, right? And to be betrothed is like to be promised unto a man. Because even if you're married unto a man, you belong to somebody. And if you're betrothed or promised unto a man, you're still, in the Lord's eyes, you're still classed as you belong to that man. You understand? You can't go with nobody else once you actually betrothed unto that man. Even though you all can actually fulfill the ceremony and join together completely, yet in the eyes of the Lord, you still belong to that man who you're promised to. Right? That is why even if you was betrothed to somebody and you sleep with somebody else, you would still be killed. But let me go through the law, right? It says if a damsel that is a virgin, right? And she didn't even have to be a virgin. She could have been passed down from one brother to the next same way, but you're still promised unto somebody else, right? It say be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. Right? Because whoredom was committed. You sleep with another man's belongings, right? It say the damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, because that is actually law. If a woman get raped in she house, and she actually take it quietly, in the Lord's eyes, you was a part of that, because you didn't try to scream out for somebody to help you. You understand? So you actually share the blame, right? Because you didn't try to save yourself. Because Jakes was wicked even back then. They would have Jakes they would have female Jakes who would have be, you know, sending this man signals, and then he come and do that, and then when they get caught, she could try to make it look like if she had nothing to do with it, when really and truly she was a part of it. You understand? So the law was set up in a way that here, well, you don't try to save yourself. That means that it's two all there was in it. The both all they're going and die, right? It says, stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he had humbled his neighbor's wife. You see, and you see the class as his neighbor's wife, even though they wasn't completely joined together yet, because she's still classed as his wife because she's promised unto him, right? You say, so thou shalt put away evil from among you. You say, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and a man force her and lie with her, it said, then the man only that lay with her shall die, because unto the damsel thou, it say, but slack here, but unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. It say, there's in the damsel no sin worthy of death, for as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. And you see how all of these things were written in the law way after this happened, right? Let me continue now, right? It's verse 24. Read over verse 24, right? So we talk about the damsel, and if another man lie with her, he's supposed to what? Be killed, and she's supposed to be killed also, right? Because that is breaking the law, which was written way after, but it existed even here. Verse 24 is, and it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, had played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, bring her forth, and let her be burnt. Now, he was supposed to stone her, but he said, let her be burnt. So I know if he was still vexed because his sons died, and he told in anger. You understand? He just wanted to do something, take out the rage. But you were supposed to kill her. Why? Because you was in your father's house. You pregnant, 3 months pregnant. That means you was aware of what you was doing. You was a part of that, so you're supposed to be killed. Say verse 24, verse 25, Salakia. It say, when she was brought forth, she sent to him, to her father-in-law, saying, I'll read it over. It say, when she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are, I am with child. And she said, discern, I pray thee, whose are these? The signet, the bracelet, and the staff, which was his. You understand? So she did put him up, technically. But she didn't want to, she know that she was promised unto the son, and she realized that Judah didn't want to give the son up. So she telling herself she might remain a widow for the rest of her life. And she didn't want that. Because that was actually a shameful thing back then. Even though nowadays, in this kingdom, Esau does teach these women that, you should go 45, 50 years without any children and build a career. Back in the days when women or the Lord was actually somewhat in the right mind, they wasn't about that. By the time you start to get old and you have no children, it's a shameful thing. because that is one of your purposes as a woman, to make children. You feel 35, 40, and if your husband ain't getting no child, that's a shameful thing. So she didn't want to live that kind of life. You understand? So she set him up, seeing that, seeing that like he wasn't going to keep his word, right? But like I say, all that was ordained to happen, right? Verse 26, it say, and Judah acknowledged them and said, she had been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah, my son. You understand? He know what he was doing. He knew he didn't want to give she up to the son, cause he thinking that he would have died also, and that was his last son. And he knew her again no more, right? So he didn't meddle with she no more, but he couldn't have killed she, because if he did kill her, that means that he would have to die also, because seeing that she was promised to the son, and he slept with her, that means he was also a part of the adultery. And that is our next example. And there are many other examples in the scriptures showing you that what? That the law did exist even before the time of Moses. Even with the situation with what? With Melchizedek. When Abraham gave Melchizedek 10% of the tithes. The 10% of the wealth. You understand that going into the tithe law? Because the tithes was given to who? The priests. And Melchizedek was what? He was a high priest. Right? So there's Numbers 18. I'll start from Numbers 18 verse 23, right? It said, but the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity. They say it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, right? That among the children of Israel they have no inheritance. So they didn't have any actual land inheritance, like how Israel was sectioned off. How Israel was sectioned off and actually had like land inheritance. Like it would have the tribe of Judah would have their land, and Ephraim would have their land. The the priests, they just had their services to do to the Lord, right? In the tabernacle. So they didn't have any land inheritance, and they couldn't live and go and farm like normal others, right? So they didn't have that. It say verse 24. It say, but the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the what? The Levites. I have given to the Levites to inherit. It said, therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance. So the tithes was given to who? The priesthood. The same way Abraham did give the 10% of he wealth to Melchizedek, who was a priest, is the same way Israel had to give their tithes to the priesthood. You understand? It's the same thing. Abraham didn't just do that because it seemed like a good idea at the time. That was a custom that was taught to them back then. All of these things that we went through, and it happened many others, they were customs that were taught. It wasn't written down, but they were verbally taught. That's how they knew how to give sacrifices. That's how when Noah came off the ark, he knew to give a sacrifice and all these different things. All of these things were taught. Because Israel is a stiff-necked and rebellious people, the Lord put ordinances forth where, to make it all easier for them to remember what they was taught. That is why he even put the fringes on the border blue, so that when you look down on it, it will be what? A reminder of the law. Because Israel don't remember shit. Anytime it's anytime anytime some time pass, Israel like it is like the mind that start to forget everything they're supposed to do. They just wanna go do all kind of stuff they're not supposed to be doing. That's why the law was eventually written down. It was written down on the doorposts, and it was written down in many different places. During the Sabbath, it was a tradition that they would read out the law. All of these things was to help them to remember, to make it stick, because Israel rebellious. You understand? But that doesn't mean that before it was written down, it didn't exist. When they're talking about in Hebrew, where they say it by faith, Abel gave a better sacrifice. That wasn't just doing it by just guess or just random instinct. That go back to what? The faith and works. They say faith without works is dead. Because they both knew it, but by faith, through his by showing his faith, he did the correct thing. You understand? It's not just about like it was just in his mind to just instinctively, like some people sort of put it like instinctively he just knew what to do. No, they were taught what to do. Righteousness is something that you have to be taught. It's not instinctive, not fully. There are certain things you'll feel in your spirit you shouldn't do, but you would never. All the Lord's ordinance will never be instinctive. You understand? We don't have it like that, like how it in the new promise where it still be written in our heart that we will know it from birth. They would know. It's not like that. That is why Israel always had to be taught, and whenever they went off, a prophet would be raised up to teach them over the correct thing. You understand? But there's a few precepts I say I would go through. I say to cover, showing that the Lord did exist from even back in those days. From even back in those days, the Lord did exist. Even when it come to like not eating meat, and eventually the Lord allowed them to eat flesh and all these different things, and then He gave them different ordinances about what flesh they could and can't eat. There was never eaten pork before. There was never eaten pork before the time of Moses. They even knew what to eat back then too. They just had it written down about what they could and couldn't eat. But that doesn't mean that before that they just used to be eating anything, snake and camel and possum. No. You understand? People who think that is because they don't understand the scriptures. Anyway, with that, I hope the video was edifying. I'd like to say Kahalayam, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakakodash, double honors the apostles and elders of Great Millstone at Rubel. Peace and salutation to the Akim around the world that push the shoot to the four corners of the earth. Right, there's Yaraba from me, GMS, Trinidad East Camp, saying Shalom, Akim, stay strong.